tens of thousands of dollars on coaching over the past couple of years as I've tried to turn myself from a good developer into a good business owner. And it's absolutely been worth it. And the reason I say that is because great coaches introduce concepts that sort of radically change how you see the world. And one of those concepts is the concepts of framing. So what is framing? Framing is the way in which people view each other. They view each other through frames. And so there might be frames of power or influence. So there could be, you see someone and they announce, I'm a doctor. So then you see them through the doctor frame. You make certain assumptions about who they are. And you might assume that, when it comes to medical stuff, a doctor knows things. You might assume that they're intelligent. You see them through a certain frame. And so the frames are these mental constructs that we have that are either sort of embedded in us or our learned behavior, but they really change how we see the world. And frames are really important when it comes to business because if you work as an employee in a normal company, your relative order or your status inside the company is sort of set, right? You have, in a traditional organization, you have some sort of an executive layer, and then you'll have middle management, and then you have the people that actually do the real work, right? And so there's sort of this hierarchy, and people will write books about how it should be flat or it should have depth, and that's not really important. My point is it's sort of frozen, and there are ways it can be unfrozen, but typically there's a process for that, and it doesn't happen right away. Well, when you're in business and you're an owner, in theory, you can pick up the phone and you can call anyone in the world. And if you can get through to them, then you can have a conversation. And so right away, as soon as two people meet, there's what a guy named Oren Klaff calls a clash of frames. And essentially what people are trying to do is figure out, okay, in this given area that we're talking about, where do I stand and where does this person stand? And so they're trying to figure out status, and they use frames as useful ways to figure this out. And this isn't a bad thing. It's not an icky thing. It's just people do it. Everyone does it. For instance, I'm sure everyone has a friend who is constantly exaggerating what they can do, right? It's the guy who says he can bench press 500 pounds and he weighs 130 pounds soaking wet, right? He's trying to establish himself, and you see him through this powerful man frame, and you're just like, it almost becomes comical. You just laugh at them. So again, the concept is called framing. If you want to read more about it, Oren Klaff, Scott Adams talks about this, Dr. Robert Cialdini are really awesome. And in future videos, I'll sort of cover where frames come into play, especially when you're a business owner and it comes to selling.